As Vice-Chancellor of the University of Leicester, I'm delighted to welcome graduates, friends, relations, sponsors, visitors and many other guests to the University this afternoon. Degree ceremonies are unique occasions, but principally they're celebrations. And they're celebrations that I hope for you will last in the memory. Certainly, they are the product of much hard work by graduates of the university and the teachers and researchers who work with them, but they are also the product of, I hope, lots of fun, because I hope you will look back on your time in the university as a time when you've really enjoyed it. I can see with the look on some faces, you have enjoyed it during the period you've been with us. But principally, they also celebrate achievement, and they celebrate your academic status in gaining a degree from a leading British university. But you all read comments about this university in prospectuses some 4 years ago. But what kind of university have you graduated from, or are you to graduate from, this afternoon? The University of Leicester now has 17,000 students. Of those students, 10% come from overseas. We are a research-led university. Basically, we have in all our disciplines people working at the very edge of the subjects they are researching and teaching. That means that the kinds of work that people are engaged in as research activity has been communicated to you through the teaching programme, because it is important to us that high-quality research is matched by high-quality teaching. In the last 2 years in this university, every department whose teaching has been evaluated has achieved a score of excellent. And that testifies to the quality of the work that you have been doing. Indeed, if you look at another feature of this university, we are now 50% undergraduate, 50% postgraduate. And I think that leads to an interesting mix in terms of the kind of institution that we are. If we look at the faculties that are graduating this afternoon, those of you in the law department are not only in one of Britain's largest law schools, but you're also in and graduating from one of Britain's top 10 law departments. Those of you in economic and social history and urban history are graduating from a department that received the very top grade in the last research assessment exercise, emphasising again the importance of research activity to inform our teaching. Many of our departments offer many postgraduate programmes alongside undergraduate work. In turn, we also offer a comprehensive distance learning programme, which now contains something like 6,000 students, predominantly reading master's degrees. In this respect, the University of Leicester offers a range of qualifications, and from that point of view, gives you an opportunity to develop the relationship with us. Certainly, what we are engaged in this university testifies to the concept of lifelong learning. It's not just a concept, it's not just a statement that politicians use nationally and internationally. It actually comes to life in our newly created Institute of Lifelong Learning, which offers a variety of programmes locally and nationally and internationally, focusing on professional development, engaged with professional people who are involved in updating their skills and knowledge. Similarly, there is an opportunity through distance learning or face-to-face tuition to engage in postgraduate training. And in order to promote and assist that, we have in fact developed this year a single university-wide graduate school to support systematic training. And certainly in the fields of social sciences and law, we see it as very important that those people who proceed from undergraduate studies to postgraduate work are engaged in a systematic training that is relevant for future work. So there are many opportunities to stay in touch with us, but one should say it's not just a situation where you can stay in touch through further study. All of you graduating this afternoon automatically become members of our Alumni Association and join Leicester Graduates Association. In this respect, I shall look forward to welcoming you back to a whole range of activities organised in the university, which is a means of keeping in touch not only with the graduating class of 2000, but also to many other generations of students who have shared the Leicester experience. But today, we join in celebration with you, celebrating your success and the success of the teachers and researchers, your families, and yourselves, all of whom have been engaged in supporting academic study. And what I would like to do at this point is to get you to demonstrate that, like all Leicester graduates, you have high standards. This morning, I got the graduating class, partly from arts and partly from the Faculty of Social Studies, to applaud all their families and sponsors. And we're going to do this again this afternoon, but you've got to do better than the people this morning. This morning, it was all right, but I think we can get it a bit more competitive. So what I'd like to see is how good you are at doing this afternoon, and to say thank you very much to all those people who've supported you all through your careers in order to graduate today. So perhaps if you could join with me in applauding those people. Well, if you manage to do that for each other all through the ceremony this afternoon, you'll definitely beat arts and social sciences this morning. But I've got a problem for you. The real competition is Friday afternoon, because the medics, I'm told, and I've not been here in previous years, but I'm told the medics are really a class act in this area. So you're going to have to work really hard at the applause this afternoon to see if social sciences and law can beat the medics this year. Because you, as a graduating class of the year 2000, are really highly successful. This year, over 3,000 people are graduating from this university over the next 3 days. Of those 3,000, about 2,000 people have registered for a bachelor's degree, which is a classified degree. And this summer, over the 2,000 people who are receiving a classified degree, we find that approximately 1,200 are receiving first and upper second class honours degrees. And I think that is a very good achievement, and certainly is an improvement on the achievements that we've had in previous years. From that point of view, the graduating class of the year 2000 has already clocked up several achievements. I hope you have a splendid afternoon this afternoon, and can I wish you every success in your future careers.
Professor Anthony Giddens was born a short walk north of White Hart Lane, and is perhaps not surprising that, like his father and grandfather before him, he became a passionate Spurs supporter. What is surprising is that he ever gets time to use his hallowed season ticket for the ground so that he can watch his favourite team play. His academic output is so prolific that it has prompted fellow sociologist Laurie Taylor to invent a new infinitive to describe it, namely to gidden, meaning publish at least one book a year. In fact, he has published more than 31 and more than 200 journal articles thus far, many of these having been translated into 29 different languages. It is not just the scale of the publications, but also their diversity, which is so impressive. He has written the book Sociology, which has become a standard introductory text to the discipline, a number of studies of Emile Durkheim, volumes on power, status, and class, and reflections on aspects of late modernity. More recently, he has published on topics which relate to politics, the family, and personal relationships, and last year was invited by the BBC to present the prestigious Reith Lectures. Thus it is that Anthony Giddens has become the most widely read and most widely cited social theorist of his generation. Likewise, he has arguably emerged as the most well-known British academic on the continent and finds himself engulfed with camera crews when attending European conferences. His career roots can be traced from Minchendon Grammar School in Southgate to his going to Hull University to study sociology and psychology. Graduating with a first, he moved to the London School of Economics in 1959 to read for a master's degree in sociology, which he attained with distinction. His first post was to be here at the University of Leicester, where he lectured for almost 10 years in our Department of Sociology. In that time too, and in true Giddens style, he simultaneously acted as a visiting professor at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver and the University of California in Los Angeles. After leaving Leicester in 1970, he moved to the University of Cambridge to become a lecturer in sociology and a fellow of King's College. He was to remain there for 12 years, being promoted to reader and then professor in 1986. Biographers of Anthony Giddens have noted how he became a familiar Cambridge figure, bombing around in his second-hand Alfa Romeo, emerging with manuscript in one hand and squash racket in the other. However, it is not solely in academia that Professor Giddens has made prolific impact. He has been at the forefront of identifying and articulating key aspects of social change which have fundamental implications for everyone. In his work, The Consequence of Modernity, published in 1990, he was among the first to identify and explore globalization. He argues that the exponential growth in instantaneous electronic communication, which has underpinned much of globalization, has led to a total change in the way we live and world events unfold. In another of his classic texts, Beyond Left and Right, which was published in 1994, he again was among the first to predict the dissolution in the forms of traditional political orientations and polarities. In exploring the consequences of globalization and change, Professor Giddens has advanced some intriguing views. For example, his view that growth in knowledge does not necessarily bring with it predictability in our daily lives, but could instead increase uncertainty, has had profound ethical, political, and social implications. To the press and media, he is regarded as guru to Tony Blair, and although he would say this has been exaggerated, commentators nevertheless widely regard him as having made a strong impact on the evolution of New Labour. His book, The Third Way, which steers between two dominant philosophies of socialism and unfettered market forces, has been particularly influential. Along the way, too, he has somehow found time to establish the Polity Press, a thriving publishing house which specializes in social science texts. His present post is at the London School of Economics, where he returned as director 36 years after writing his master's dissertation there on society and sport. In charismatic style, his vision for the future role of the LSE is radical, ambitious, and far-reaching. Professor Giddens sees the future of the LSE as being a powerhouse for social science, one which is geared to acquiring and analyzing social knowledge in what he has described as a fantastic world of incredible change. Small wonder that his views are sought after by heads of state the world over. Whether one pictures him side by side with his old pal and fellow honorand Professor Jerry Birnbaum on the terraces of White Hart Lane, or in America in the company of President Clinton, there can be no doubt that he is one of the most important and influential British intellectuals of our time. It is a great pleasure to welcome him back to Leicester. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of Senate and the Council, I present Anthony Giddens that you may confer upon him the honorary degree of Doctor of Letters.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, faculty, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, let me say what a pleasure and honor it is for me to be here to receive this degree. And it's also a double pleasure for me to share the platform with Bob Burgess, your Vice-Chancellor, who is an old friend and colleague. He's a very distinguished sociologist, and he's going to do a great job for Leicester. I don't know if you know how lucky you are to have him here. Paul Getty, the billionaire, was once asked, what is the secret of his success? And he said, rise early, work late, strike oil. Well, I feel I struck oil when I came to Leicester many years ago, and I hope all of you graduating here today also feel that you struck oil when you came to this particular university. My fellow graduates, I would like to congratulate you all on your achievement. Leicester University, as the Vice-Chancellor said, is a research-led university. It's one of the best universities in the country. It's very hard to get into. It's even harder to get out of. So all parents, relatives, friends here today, you should be proud of what your students have achieved. I've spent nearly all my life in intellectual work and academic work, and I hope that at least some people graduating here will do the same. We know the lure of the big, wide world, but I would encourage everyone to sustain their intellectual interests. Intellectual life is simply different from most other forms of activity. You might think lots of academics look half mad. Well, they're not. Academic life is engaging with the best ideas that anyone has produced across the centuries. It simply is something which has no parallel, I think, in other parts of people's lives and activities. So I do hope that everyone who graduates here will keep their intellectual interests alive, no matter what branch of business or life they go into. Can I wish you every good fortune for your future? And for those who go into the city, for those who make money, it's just as good as intellectual life, but it doesn't offer quite the same rewards. However, as that celebrated sage Woody Allen said, money is better than poverty, if only for financial reasons. Thank you very much.
It is my privilege to introduce to this degree congregation Sir John Stevens, Metropolitan Police Commissioner. John Stevens might have pursued his career as a pilot in his father's airline business, for he loved flying and still flies today. But an unfounded concern that he might have a sight defect, which would have curtailed his flying career, caused him to join the police in 1963 at the age of 21. His father did not think he would last long as a police officer. John's career developed nicely, and he was able to continue to make use of his sporting talents at cricket, rugby, and squash. He also found time to collar his fair share of villains. He rose to become a detective inspector and came to the University of Leicester in 1977 to read for a law degree. As a 35-year-old, he was slightly daunted by the 18 and 19-year-olds he shared tutorials with, but he found an easy rapport both with his fellow students and with many of us on the academic staff. I've looked at his academic record. Those students graduating today might be reassured to know that John obviously found land law as challenging then as some of you did last year. However, in talking to John recently about his time at Leicester, I was enormously flattered on behalf of the law school when John told me that he regards his 3 years at this university as a watershed in his career. He describes the opportunity to study at degree level as a liberating experience. He learned to listen to all sorts of arguments. He sought to understand the law as a process. He developed skills in analysing problems, assessing options, and of seeing things in the round in their social setting. Critical awareness was honed. And he had fun. He coached the Rugby 15 and captained the university squash team. John entertained hopes that one of his children would study law. His son was having none of this, but did come to the University of Leicester to read English. A different ploy was adopted with his daughter. He told her to forget law, it was dull and boring. It worked. She read law, though not here, and is now embarking on a career at the bar in London. Advancement came fast after graduation, but his love of the law led him to undertake a part-time MPhil at the University of Southampton, exploring the operation of the stop and search powers rationalised in the Police and Criminal Evidence Act of 1984. By 1986, he was Assistant Chief Constable in the Hampshire Constabulary. By 1989, Deputy Chief Constable in Cambridgeshire. It was in this year that he was appointed to conduct the Stevens inquiry into breaches of security by the security forces in Northern Ireland. This resulted in 43 convictions and a host of recommendations, all of which were accepted. In September 1991, he was appointed Chief Constable of the Northumbria Police and succeeded in restructuring the force and introducing crime reduction policies, which resulted in a 42% reduction in crime over 5 years. He was appointed Deputy Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police in 1998 and led the fight against corruption. He's been involved in 2 further inquiries in Northern Ireland. John was appointed Commissioner Designate in August 1999, knighted in the New Year Honours List, and succeeded Sir Paul Condon as Metropolitan Police Commissioner in February 2000. 3 events present the new Commissioner with unprecedented challenges. First, there is the need to respond to the criticisms contained in the Macpherson report into the Stephen Lawrence murder and its aftermath. Secondly, there is the creation of the Metropolitan Police Authority, which will set in place for the Met systems of accountability similar to those for other police forces. Thirdly, there is ensuring the morale of a police force that is as large as the Royal Navy. The Met has implemented 25 of the 39 recommendations in the Macpherson report specific to the Met and has in place an action plan for the other 14. Sir John is advised on race relation matters by Sir Herman Ouseley, former chairman of the Commission for Racial Equality, to whom we also give an honorary doctorate of laws tomorrow. Sir John wants to be remembered after his 5 years in office as the architect of the new model Met, moving on within the 170 years of the Met's history and tradition of policing in the capital. He does not underestimate the challenge, but believes that with closer working relationships with many other agencies, much can be achieved. He welcomes the increased accountability that will flow from the creation of the Metropolitan Police Authority. He is seen within the force as being a people's policeman. His own track record earns the immediate respect of all police officers. He still reserves 1 day a week to keep in touch with officers in the field, being willing to tread the beat in uniform with them in order to keep his finger on the pulse of his enormous force. Today, we recognise both an outstanding career in policing by one of our graduates, and we express our confidence in his ability to meet the challenges he faces as the new Metropolitan Police Commissioner. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present to you John Arthur Stevens, that you may confer upon him the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, graduands, little did I realize 20 years ago when I failed the land law exam. I did actually get a 3rd pass on it, and I was glad to get that because I never understood it. Little did I realize then, or 8 years ago, when I proudly was in this audience to see my son come up on this stage, that this university would honor me with this degree. I have to say to parents, I was more nervous when my son came up on the stage than I was when I received my degree. And I think that's probably reasons of parental pride. Now, you've heard from Robin that within 11 years of leaving this university, I rose rapidly from inspector to chief constable rank. And I have to tell you that that was very much as a result of what I learned here at Leicester. Not only was my mind open to analytical capability in terms of law, and I have a love of law, but what I learned was this: tolerance, and above all, an ability to listen to people and learn from what they have to say. And equally with that was a knowledge and a recognition that there are always in this world people who are far cleverer than I was. And I have an immense debt to this university, which I would like to repay over the years, to what it's taught me, to what it's done for me. And oh yes, I came out with a law degree. Oh yes, I did a lot in terms of sport. And oh yes, I learned how to drink, even in a better way than I did before I came. And do not believe, please, any of you, that it's only 16-year-olds that end up in gutters and streets. It can actually relate to 36 and 37-year-olds. But I do want to pay tremendous tribute to what this university has done for me. I feel very, very proud indeed to be standing here amongst you, and I intend over the years, if you invite me back, to repay that debt. Mr. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, fellow graduates, thank you very much.
The graduands in the Faculty of the Social Sciences will be presented by the Dean, Dr. Negreen. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of the Social Sciences to the several degrees for which they are presented. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Mariana Naimi. For the degree of Master of Arts in International Relations and World Order, Pearl Usanagong. For the degree of Master of Arts in Law and Employment Relations, Rachel Alsop. Judith Anderson. John Atkinson. Valerie Brown. Lorraine Burke. Matthew Kahn. Tony Dumelo. Derek Eccleston. Paul Featherstone, Yvonne George, Stephen Healy, John Johnson, Claire Jones, David Jones, Robert Laban de Viralia, Paula Larcher, Graham Lomas, Michael Lucas, Roberta Mahoney, Irene McCormack, Susan Millett, Samuel Awori, Amanda Robinson, Gail Rowland, Anne Ruff, Terry Smith, Alexander Snedden, Alison Thomas, Yvonne Warren, Chris Welford, for the degree of Master of Science in Political Research, Stuart Wheatley. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Economic and Social History, Asif Akhtar. Michelle Andre. Luke Aviat. Rosemary Badley. Simon Ballou. Rachel Butterworth. James Cameron. Claire Canavan. Nicola Cole. Gregory Davis. Andrew Dixon. James Dryhurst. Tanya Eckersley. Damien Farrimond. James Gill. David Godfrey. John Hall. George Higgett. Jill Horsley. Timothy Jarrett. Richard Lambert. Robert Lincoln. Laura Newman. Tom Rawlings. Jenny Roscoe. Helen Staton. Michael Thompson.
Congratulations.
Neil Vickers.
Congratulations.
Gemma Wales.
Congratulations.
Peter Wan.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Politics, George Alcock.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Arnold.
Congratulations.
Susan Back.
Congratulations.
Jason Barnard.
Congratulations.
David Barnes.
Congratulations.
Oliver Baisley.
Congratulations.
Neil Biddles.
Well done.
Joanne Blaney.
Congratulations.
Catherine Bray.
Congratulations.
Stuart Bray.
Congratulations.
Kerry Broom.
Congratulations. Well done, Bruce. Has been very kind. Well done.
Simon Carr.
Congratulations.
Robert Chilman.
Congratulations.
Ben Connor.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Connors.
Congratulations.
Kate Cordell.
Congratulations. Well done.
Francoise Cretin.
Congratulations.
Jake Dodds.
Well done.
Catherine Edgell.
Congratulations.
James Epworth.
Well done.
Chris Fiender.
Congratulations.
Helen George.
Congratulations.
William Hairsign.
Congratulations.
Mark Hall.
Congratulations.
Claire Halliday.
Congratulations.
Christopher Hands.
Well done.
Anita Hansen.
Congratulations.
Thomas Harrell.
Congratulations.
Kyle Johnson.
Congratulations.
Robert Jones.
Congratulations.
John Keating.
Congratulations.
Alexander Mann.
Congratulations.
Caroline MacDonald.
Congratulations.
Michael McLaughlin.
Well done. Congratulations.
John Moore.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Stephen Paddy.
Congratulations.
Nathan Pinn.
Congratulations.
Fiona Redmond.
Congratulations.
Roshi Sharma.
Congratulations.
Emma Sinclair.
Congratulations.
Simon Stoker.
Congratulations.
Amber Tegg.
Congratulations.
Barry Vineker.
Congratulations.
John Ward.
Congratulations.
Alistair Warren.
Congratulations.
Toby Wyatt.
Congratulations.
Nicola Yates.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Politics and Economic and Social History, Abigail Allen.
Congratulations.
Thomas Charles.
Congratulations.
Octavia Gorodima.
Congratulations.
Katie Hamilton.
Congratulations.
Greg Hammond.
Congratulations.
Rachel Livingston.
Congratulations.
Helen McMahon.
Congratulations.
Martin McNeil.
Congratulations.
Christopher Morgan.
Congratulations.
Sumandeep Sandhu.
Congratulations.
Paul Snelson.
Congratulations.
Ben Stafford.
Well done.
Emma Tune.
Congratulations.
Claire Whiteside.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, Nida Adam.
Congratulations.
Louise Allen.
Congratulations.
Madeline Arthur.
Congratulations.
Rupert Barrett.
Congratulations.
Erica Benning.
Congratulations.
Louise Betts.
Congratulations.
Gemma Bishop.
Congratulations.
Claire Brown.
Congratulations.
Lisa Burley.
Congratulations.
Sebastian Chevrolet.
Congratulations. Well done.
Sarah Coleman.
Congratulations.
Michael Collingwood.
Congratulations.
Sarah Connor.
Congratulations.
Paul Dale.
Congratulations.
Dominic DeRose.
Congratulations.
Jessica Dye.
Congratulations.
Amanda Evans.
Congratulations.
Tracy Farley.
Congratulations.
Dermot Gallagher.
Congratulations.
Sarah Garford.
Congratulations.
Sarah Gibbons.
Congratulations.
Deborah Harris.
Congratulations.
Sarah Hibbs.
Congratulations.
James Hissey.
Congratulations.
Kevin Hughes.
Congratulations.
Sarah Johnson.
Congratulations.
Nicholas Jones.
Congratulations.
Gulwinder Kandola.
Congratulations.
Owen Knight.
Congratulations.
Alison Landman.
Congratulations.
Sarah Lee.
Congratulations.
Kirsty Locker.
Congratulations.
Natalie McGraw,
Congratulations.
Sithara Mendes,
Congratulations.
Daniel Mogridge,
Congratulations.
Oliver Morgan,
Congratulations.
Leanne Merton,
Congratulations.
Helen Nash,
Congratulations.
Claire O'Neill,
Congratulations.
Priti Patel,
Congratulations.
Karen Pickering,
Congratulations.
Simon Porsche,
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Sedman,
Congratulations.
Yvette Slocum,
Congratulations.
Sandeep Virk,
Congratulations.
James Welfare,
Congratulations.
Christopher Wrighton,
Congratulations.
for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Sociology, Deborah Bloomberg,
Congratulations.
Deborah Boston,
Congratulations.
Snezana Dirick,
Congratulations.
Claire Garment,
Congratulations.
Lindsay Gilbert,
Congratulations.
Kevin Gilhooly,
Congratulations.
George Irwin,
Congratulations.
Elena Jones,
Congratulations.
Natasha Jones,
Well done. Well done.
Sarah Lobb,
Congratulations.
Andrew Lomas,
Congratulations.
David MacDonald,
Congratulations.
Philip Mangian,
Congratulations.
Stuart Marcus,
Congratulations.
Shafina Moorji,
Congratulations.
Kate Openshaw,
Congratulations.
Belinda Panesar,
Congratulations.
Anita Poole,
Congratulations.
Joanna Pointing,
Congratulations.
Deborah Pratt,
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Seymour,
Congratulations.
Rebecca Shelmadine,
Congratulations.
Teresa Spilsbury,
Congratulations.
Mary Tanturi,
Congratulations. Well done.
Daniel Thompson,
Congratulations.
Sophie Walker,
Congratulations.
Christine Wanless,
Congratulations.
Joanne Watkins,
Congratulations.
Richard Wilkinson,
Congratulations.
Richard Yerson,
Congratulations.
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
The graduands in the Faculty of Law will be presented by the Dean, Professor White. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Law to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduates of the Faculty of Law, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees for which you are presented.
For the degree of Master of Laws in European Management and Employment Law, Carol Aldridge. Mark Brown. Noel Burke. Stephen Jewell. Bernard McGuinness. Geraldine Mouchette. Bernard O'Neill. Jude Rodriguez. Sandra Sinfield. Dina Theodourou. For the degree of Master of Laws in Law and Employment Relations, Rachel Anderson. Ruth Bonino. Lindy Campbell. Claire Caulfield. Jane Hallas. Rachel Martin. Francis Silverman. Anthony Thompson. For the degree of Master of Arts in European Management and Employment Law, Simon Carroll. Robin Cattermole. Brian Chadwick. Una Dempsey. Tim Frankham. Richard Guilford. Craig Johnston. David Lloyd. Wayne Lloyd. Marianne Piggott. Roy Roebuck. Vassos Vassiliou. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws, Sarah Abbott. Zasima Abu Sama. John Adams. Dean Agius. Adefemi Atiladi. Tahir Ayub. Farhan Azim. Lee Bagshaw. Jaffa Baker. Renu Bansal. Amy Barrett. Chandra Barua. David Bourne. Katie Baxter. Adam Berry. Anne Beevington. Nicola Burney.
Congratulations.
Katie Brown.
Congratulations.
Philip Carnell.
Congratulations.
Norman Chalice.
Congratulations.
Rachel Charles.
Congratulations.
Niten Charan.
Congratulations.
Hasidnian Chi.
Congratulations.
Hu Good Chung.
Congratulations.
Rajanara Chowdhury.
Congratulations.
Sang Mi Chua.
Congratulations.
Louisa Constantino.
Congratulations.
Michael Cornwell.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Alan Curran.
Congratulations.
Temi Tope da Silva.
Congratulations.
Gal Dahan.
Congratulations.
Matthew Dance.
Congratulations.
Carlton Daniel.
Congratulations.
Celine de Andrea.
Congratulations.
Alexander Dunning.
Congratulations.
Emma El Kamriki.
Congratulations.
Catherine Ellingham.
Congratulations.
Robert Elliott.
Congratulations.
Darren Ellis.
Congratulations.
Duncan Elmer.
Congratulations.
Anna Farley.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Siu Q Fong.
Congratulations.
Yen Ling Fong.
Congratulations.
Louise Ford.
Congratulations.
Joanna Francis.
Congratulations.
Alice Ferber.
Congratulations.
Faith Geary.
Well done. Congratulations.
Nicolas Georgiades.
Congratulations.
Lisa Gibbons.
Congratulations.
Ryan Gill.
Congratulations.
Clara Githaiga.
Well done. Congratulations.
Nathan Godwin.
Congratulations.
Wesley Go.
Congratulations.
Spencer Gold.
Congratulations.
Giles Graves.
Congratulations.
David Griffin.
Congratulations.
Alison Griffiths.
Congratulations.
Jessica Guth.
Congratulations.
Adebola Hafner.
Well done. Congratulations.
Natalie Harmon.
Congratulations.
Richard Harrison.
Well done.
Ryan Hawley.
Congratulations.
Philip Henson.
Congratulations.
Gregory Hepworth.
Congratulations.
Andrew Hiles.
Congratulations.
Phelan Hill.
Congratulations.
Katrina Hitchin.
Congratulations.
Oliver Holland.
Well done. Congratulations.
Pearl Hock.
Congratulations.
Jacqueline Hoff.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Howell.
Congratulations.
Siu Huang.
Well done. Congratulations.
Gakeri Ikora.
Congratulations.
Delith Jones.
Congratulations.
Linda Kasonde.
Congratulations.
Tajinder Kaur.
Well done. Congratulations.
Pete Kingsley.
Congratulations.
Purity Kinoti.
Congratulations.
Pauline Kipkule.
Well done. Congratulations.
Derek Curtin.
Congratulations.
Hemanth Kisoon.
Well done. Congratulations.
Georgi Koutsombos.
Congratulations.
Paul Krushiz.
Congratulations.
Ravinderjit Kullar.
Congratulations. Well done.
James Laverack.
Congratulations.
So Ying Law.
Congratulations.
Choi Peng Lee.
Congratulations. Well done.
Saw Lin Lo.
Congratulations.
Peter Lowe.
Congratulations.
Daniel Lum.
Congratulations. Well done.
David Madams.
Congratulations.
Louise Madeley.
Congratulations.
Sushis Mahapatra.
Congratulations.
Grace Maingi.
Congratulations.
Benjamin Mansford.
Congratulations. Thanks. Nice to see you.
Laura Manson.
Congratulations.
Valerie Mayo.
Congratulations.
Kerry McDonough.
Congratulations.
Catherine McGlynn.
Congratulations.
Joanne McKernan.
Congratulations.
Alexander Monroe.
Congratulations.
Sarah Nana.
Congratulations.
Lisa Newton.
Congratulations.
Woan Chung Yung.
Well done. Congratulations. Fine. Thank you.
Susan Ungun.
Congratulations.
Oliver Nicholas.
Congratulations.
Edward Nutman.
Congratulations.
Simon Owen.
Congratulations.
James Panther.
Congratulations.
Suraina Pasha.
Well done. Congratulations.
Mikhaila Pasiadis.
Congratulations. Well done.
Yunus Patel.
Congratulations. Well done.
Christian Peace.
Congratulations.
Nicole Finapulu.
Congratulations. Well done.
Emma Punter.
Congratulations.
Rachel Ran.
Congratulations.
David Reardon.
Congratulations.
Amanda Riley.
Congratulations.
Zoe Rimington.
Congratulations. Well done.
Helena Roach.
Congratulations.
Claire Roke.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Robinson.
Congratulations.
Mark Robinson.
Congratulations.
Stephen Rogers.
Congratulations. Well done.
Amy Roost.
Congratulations.
Stephen Rule.
Congratulations.
Nadia Saeed.
Congratulations.
Chris Scott.
Congratulations. Well done.
Gaz Al-Ashar.
Congratulations.
Ravi Shawan.
Congratulations.
Megan Silcock.
Congratulations.
Julie Sims.
Congratulations.
Yoke Soon.
Congratulations.
Lindsay Steele.
Congratulations.
Miles Stewart.
Congratulations.
Jonathan Stone.
Congratulations.
Nataza Stilianu.
Congratulations.
Mohammed Swaleh. Saleka Tabassam. Sabina Tai. Chi Yin Tan. Madupe Thomas. Yang Yi Tsang. Kerry Turner. Claire Twilley. Jan van der Woude. Shri Padmaraja Ravatharaja. Jyoti Vasdev. Jaswant Virk. Lee Walker. Paul Walter. Tara Waltzman. Kok Leong Wan. Felicity Watson. James Watson. Diane Wienowski. Margaret Weir. Daniel Whittaker. Daniel Wicksteed. Faye Widowson. Andrew Wilson. Hannah Wilson. Glenn Wong. Joanne Wordsworth. Nadim Zaman. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws, European Union, Nikki Bayer. Ruth Green. Sarah Hunter. Tina Call. Parmjit Sahota. Haresh Sood. Amelia Wallington. Andrew Watkins. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws, International, Helen Marsh. Andrew Nimmo. Peter Workman. For the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law with French Law and Language, Max Beasley. Stephen Coles. Gillian Creed. Emma Cross. Shireen Driver. Christopher Evans. Victoria Gregory. Gareth Hole. Victoria King. Daniel Parker. Anne Pilloy. Peter Savage. Niall Sheerin. For the degree of Master of Arts in European Management and Employment Law, Miles Crummy. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Let me begin by congratulating our honorary graduates. Their presence here today emphasizes the continuity of learning, the fact that what you learn at university is just the first step on a long process in life, where you put to use in one way or another all that you've learnt. And our honorary graduates provide role models to which you can aspire. And I'm sure that several decades from now, some of the younger members of the audience will be back in a more senior capacity. But this graduation is primarily for the benefit of the junior members, who have worked hard to earn their degrees. For you, this is a great occasion, and one for us all to celebrate. I know that many of you have relatives and friends here to support you, and we've heard their support this afternoon. And they also deserve congratulations for their contribution in helping you. And finally, we should not forget your teachers, many of whom are also here, since they will be delighted that their efforts have been successful in seeing you through to your graduation. And in welcoming you all, let me give a special welcome to those of you who have come from abroad, perhaps visiting Leicester for the first time. We're very pleased that you made the effort to come, and we hope that you enjoyed the occasion. We all know that we are living in an era of rapid change. The world scene has been radically transformed in the past decades. The great political and military divide, symbolized by the Berlin Wall, has gone. We live in a world which, while not exactly at peace, is no longer under the permanent threat of instant annihilation. Democracies are, on the whole, replacing dictatorships. New parts of the world are developing into advanced economies. The scientific technological revolution is having a profound impact in a way which is only just being glimpsed. Young people graduating today will live in a quite different environment from their parents and grandparents. It is a more interesting but more complicated world. One can perhaps draw an analogy here between the scientific and political spheres, and of course there is a link between the two. The modern scientific era began with the Newtonian view of the universe as governed by simple laws which in principle enable one to predict the future in a methodical way. In the 20th century, this view has been transformed by things like quantum mechanics with its famous uncertainty principle, and chaos, which shows that Newtonian prediction does not apply in complex situations. Similarly, in the political world, the ideas of a simple, rational world run on utopian ideas involving planned economies has been replaced by a more complex and diverse picture of reality. These great political and economic changes have had a major impact on the importance of education. We hear everywhere about the knowledge-based economy, where the secret to success lies not in raw materials or large factories, but in the trained intellectual resources of the country. So, around the world, the demand for education, particularly higher education, has grown enormously. We see this here in Leicester, where the university has continued to expand at a rapid rate. While this is necessary and welcome, it does have a few practical drawbacks, one of which is that the Chancellor of Leicester has had to elicit the assistance of the Vice-Chancellor in the handshaking of this ceremony. But let me assure you that all your degrees retain their full value, whoever shakes your hand. But what effect do all these changes in the outside world have on the individual student who is graduating here today? In former times, when society was more rigidly organized, the individual had little choice. The son followed in the father's occupation, and of course the daughter had even less choice. The future was predictable, but usually bleak. Now the situation is totally reversed. Barriers have broken down, there's a great deal of choice, which itself makes for difficulties, and there are vast opportunities. In return, we have more uncertainty. The future is less predictable, but at least we have hope. So for the individual, education has broadly three roles. It is first the gateway to opportunity. Without a good education, you would have much less choice of possible avenues for the future. The training that universities provide is your entree to the modern world. But democratic societies require more than just a trained workforce. They require educated citizens who can make critical and informed judgments. In a world obsessed by publicity and propaganda, it is hard to distill the truth from the welter of pseudo-information that floods around us. A sound democracy can only flourish if its citizens can think clearly for themselves, not become passive absorbers of what the media, the government, and industry dish out for us. Finally, education should open the door to personal and intellectual fulfillment. We must not only think, but we must enjoy thinking. Universities are there to introduce us to the great thoughts and creations of the past, to enable us to participate in the culture of the present, and to help to pass it on to the next generation. The University of Leicester is proud of its contribution to your education and hopes that you will leave here with happy memories. We would like to keep in touch with you in the future, and since, as the Vice-Chancellor said earlier, education is now a lifelong process, you may return here at some future time. You may also send your children, your students, or your friends here for their education. It remains for me to give you my best wishes for the future and to allow you to continue to celebrate today your graduation with your friends and relatives. I now declare this congregation closed.